What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video. Wanted to make a video on the Boston and LA Thieves official roster announcements, cover the incomings and the outgoings on both squads, as well as where some of the players that are moving out of those squads are going into in challengers or on other teams. We're going to discuss it. We're going to start off with the Boston breach to kick things off. All right, so first off, we have the goodbye or thank you announcement for Capsule. He's not staying with the team. He's been released. They're going to keep Pentagram as their sub. And we did also get this statement here from Dens, and I'm going to read it to you in full. Unfortunately, our performance fell below the expectations we set for ourselves and our fan base to start the season. We expect more out of ourselves collectively as a team and owe it to our fans to compete harder. After extensive internal evaluation and discussion, the organization has made the very difficult decision to part ways with Capsule. To be clear, each member of our team and staff is accountable for the start of the season. In addition to roster changes, we're working to refine our in-game strategies, communication, and overarching team culture. Our collective goal with these changes is simple: to put the Boston breach in the best position to win and meet the expectations we have for ourselves in 2024. We extend our best wishes to Capsule for his success, or for success in his future endeavors. So kind of a lot to unpack there. I kind of, tip the transparency from Boston here. You don't necessarily have to put like a whole statement when you make a roster change like this, but it seems like they weren't happy with their stage one, and we'll get to that in a second. And it meant that they were going to bring Nissim in, and we'll get to that in a second, and drop Capsule from the squad. I think my reaction to this is I kind of, really sort of respect the statement here from Boston. They didn't really have to say anything with changes. They could just made the changes, maybe talked about on stream, whatever. But putting out a statement with, the two announcements here, I think was good transparency from them. I think it speaks towards the changes they want to make. I think there's some interesting language they used in the statement about refine our in-game strategies, communication, overarching team culture, sort of a weird way to phrase the change. But regardless, interesting change. I think for Capsule, look, if you look at kind of Boston's struggles in stage one, it was closing out series, it was win those game 5 searches. And as good of S&D player Cap is, he also does kind of give away his life a bunch. And I think it really hurt them in that last series they played in a lose round 1 at the event, and other series they had played prior online to the event. So I think Capsule will probably work his way back onto a CDL team at some point this season, but he will be going down to challengers, and we'll see what squad he ends up on, because right now I haven't gotten any news about him linking with the team just yet. So with Capsule rotating out, in comes Nissim. So Nissim coming off the FC Black squad, who just won the Boston Open. And I, kind of understand the thought process in this change, right? You're trying to overcome sort of the poor decision-making you get at times with the team. And I think bringing in Nissim kind of helps with, adding points to the team IQ. And I think it really sets them to play strong around Snoop, who I think is a player that's got to pop off if they want to be a really good team, not just a solid team this year. Like if they really want to be making it 2 top 3s, making it to finals, it's going to be because they got the best out of Snoopy and Nissim. And so I like this move because Nissim can play, sub AR, Preston can play sub AR, Austin can hold down the main, and Snoop's going to be kind of your fast player. And Nissim kind of play both ways as a sub. He can be kind of balls to the wall, or he can be, round man, or he can be kind of OBJ dirty guy, like Kismet style. I think there's a lot to work with here. My only thing for Boston, I will say with this roster move, is that Nissim hasn't always been the most consistent player in the CDL. And I do think some of that is, team comp, but obviously there are things he can work on. Preston's not the most consistent person in the CDL. Austin slaying at the beginning of the year was kind of iffy. He got a little bit better at it. I'm a little worried that maybe the firepower on this team is maybe not going to be there, but I think that's overcome by the ability to grind out series. And I think they'll get better amongst the mid pack with this move, and they got to get it going because getting dead last of your own tournament was obviously not how you wanted things to go down. And we got some fan reaction to it too. We're going to get to that at the end of the video. I'm going to do LA Thieves next, and then we'll get to some of the tweets and reactions that I surfaced on Twitter. All right, let's talk LA Thieves. So as you might know, Cammy is one of the players that is leaving the roster. They completely parted ways with him, so he is gone. He's not staying on as a sub, so they're going to keep Joe Deceives on as their substitute player. And Cammy actually, once leaving this team, is now scrimming with Boston Breach Academy. Obviously, you may have heard that Doug retired after the Boston Open, so there was a spot available on that team. And I like this move for Cam. I'm very curious if they're going to sign Cammy to potentially a substitute deal this week or next, or if this is more just purely amateur, and then maybe they'll pick him up. I know Pentagram is sitting there around as their substitute spot, but I like this move for Cam. He's got to figure it back out. It's been a tough couple of years. He's got to get back to his game that we saw when he's at the top of his career. And the Boston Breach Academy guys are a decent squad. Had a poor placing at the Open, and I think this is a decent opportunity for Cam to really like run a little bit in challengers here, get these guys deep in the lead stage, maybe pull up if there's going to be an amateur event in Florida. We don't know that yet. And Fry and maybe get back into the league that way. But anyway, we got 2 welcome announcements for LA Thieves. First off, Nasty comes over from Team War. Glad to see him back in the league. I thought, amongst the absolute terrible situation that was London Royal Ravens last year, I thought Nasty, once he moved to an AR, was one of the bright spots on the team. And you see Kremp is also getting picked up as well here. He's probably the player that played the best at the event for FC Black. And so he'll be joining LA Thieves. And I like this move as well. Another player that was showing up in Challengers particularly well. So now for LA Thieves, your roster is Dan Ghosty, Afro, Kremp, and Nasty. So no real role changes, I think, for Dan or for Afro here. I think Kremp will come in and play like third AR, and Nasty will be more, I think, full-time AR, sort of fast AR. In this situation, I don't know. We'll see kind of how maybe they do that with Dan and Nasty. But there's a lot of flexibility, I think, with the way this lineup works as far as roles go. I think for Thieves, if you look at their issues they had at the split, they couldn't buy a hard point. They couldn't buy kills on the map in respawn. They were a decent control team, decent search team, but if you go 1-10, 1-11 in hard point, it's going to be impossible to be a good team. And I think these moves, bringing Kremp in, bringing Nasty in, already have knowledge on this new patch that the pros have to get adjusted to, I think will help the Thieves team get a little bit ahead in hard point off the rip. I don't know if it fully solves the slaying problems, because even when Kremp was in the league last time around, up and down. Same with Nasty. They were not like consistent 1-2 superstar guys. But I think they might pack a little bit more punch than the players that were rotating out, which was Cammy. To be honest, I don't think Cam has played well consistently really for 2 years. And I'll say this about Joe, and I think we'll get to some of the comments on it. I like Joe, but he wasn't that consistent either. I think him and Marcus production wise was about the same. And I do think that Joe needs a little bit more seasoning, and we'll get to where he's going in a second. So I like the moves for Thieves. Bringing in Nasty is definitely an interesting one. I didn't see that coming at the beginning of the week, but obviously he's got his visa sorted, so they feel confident getting that move done. And a lot of people have been asking for, Byron to come back in. So I think this will make Thieves better. They have a very difficult stage. I know if you all watched my streams with Octane, especially a day or two ago, Sam and I kind of talked about this, and I'm pulling up their schedule right now. So you guys can see their schedule. I'm going to read it to you. They have upcoming for this major qualifier stages: Optic, Miami, Rocker, FaZe, Vegas, LAG, and Toronto. So they play 3 of the top 4 teams. They play Miami, who's trying to rebound, Rocker, who just got a decent placing last event, Vegas and LAG, I think, are winnable matches, and then they got Toronto. So it's really hard for Thieves, and they got to try and get points. They're sitting bottom of the league right now. Another 20-point stage really is sort of the nail in the coffin for this team to make champs. And I think it would be a massive disaster for this LA Thieves franchise if they don't make champs this year. Absolute disaster class. So they need to make moves. There was a little bit of rumblings at the beginning of the week that they might not be making moves, and I think they decided not to wait. So I tip it. We'll see if this makes them better. I think my prediction is they will get to the middle of the mid pack, maybe the top of the mid pack, but I don't think it really moves the needle on making them move into a top 4 team. All right, so with Joe obviously rotating out of the roster and staying as a substitute player, he's got to get into a spot for challengers. So he's going to join Exceed and Brack on the 2 spots available on FC Black, as long as Geo as well sort of joining that team. So FC Black instantly reloads, picks up Geo and one of the sort of top 5 players, I think, from the last stage of challengers, and Geo Deceives, who I think is going to come down and fry. And I think FC Black's in a good position to be our top team again in challengers. And again, some combination of these players will get picked up after Major 2, or maybe Joe gets rotated back in the lineup. Who knows? But like the moves here for FC Black. Curious to see how they play with the elite qualifiers coming up soon for challengers. All right, so I promised that I said, curious what you guys think about these announcements. I'll include some comments in the video. So let's take a look at a few that people sent over. First off, we have my guy Michael pulling for ASIM hard. Can never figure out why he starts every year strong and then declines. Maybe it's his teams. We've talked about this with ASIM. I mean, the Minnesota team in Modern for 2019 got off to a great start. COVID hit. They completely broke down as a team, and ASIM was trying his best on that squad. Like he at one point, like towards the end of the year, was pulling out the fast AR class and put away the sub, and they still couldn't win. They didn't win for like 3 months in that game. He was on the New York team, which played really well, and then obviously the stuff with Clay happened, and then he was on LAG, and they won an event, and then they fell off. And then London last year was not good. So I think it's a little bit of half and half. I think ASIM's got to do a little bit of a better job adjusting mid-game, but I also think he's been in some tough team situations as well. We got my guys over at the COD Casuals with this one. Overall, I think these move is really good. Boston move, it'll be interesting to see how well ASIM and Snoopy mesh together. We'll see if Asen can be more consistent than Cap, also keep up with Snoopy's pace on the map. Except for the movement, we'll think it'll work out. I'm not worried about Asen pace-wise. He can play either or that way, slow or fast. So keeping up with Snoop, I mean, he kept up with Paco. You know, I'm not worried about playing fast or slow. It's more just trying to, I think, probably figure out how they get Snoop in a position to develop from a playmaking takeover standpoint. And then a kind of interesting point at the end, unrelated, wish they didn't have a short time frame to lock in rosters. Doesn't give room to see if a team can improve, but it is what it is. Honestly, it's been 2.5 months, guys. The game came out in the middle of November. We're now at the beginning of February. It's enough time. If after 2.5 months, your team's getting dead last at the first event, you're not consistently winning series, the likelihood of it getting better the month after is really tough. If we had 5 majors, I think teams would be a lot more patient. You only get 4 majors, and if you're not getting 45 points a stage, like, you cannot afford to chance on making it click, and then you have another back-to-back stage, and you have to get top 3, top 4 at the final 2 events to make champs. It's just not a great situation. So that's what's kind of driving a lot of these roster moves, I think. All right, a couple more. We got my guy, Andrew, aka Jack Frost forever. I don't hate these moves. They needed to happen. Just kind of wish we could see how Crep and Asen would have been together on a team. I do not hate this move. So I actually, we talked about this a bunch in the last couple of weeks because it felt like, FC Black team was probably destined to be broken apart by roster changes. I would have liked to have seen Crep and Asen join a team together. I agree. Because they had good chemistry in challengers, but that's how it is. These teams don't necessarily want to drop to their fast players and pick up 2 fast players from challengers. So I think that's why, even though LA Thieves made 2 changes, they wanted to bring on more of a full-time AR. And that's what was kind of driving, and that's why never really an opportunity opened up for both these guys to go anywhere together. All right, we got Austin breaking it down by Team LA Thieves. Think they should have kept Joe over Afro, but I think Joe has higher upside. Not confident after Afro on land, but getting nasty was the right move. I would think the Joe for Afro thing was sort of a 50-50. I think you can make the case for both them being dropped, and I can kind of see that, there's some behind the scenes stuff, practice stuff that we don't see that probably factored into that decision. But I agree, nasty picking up was good. I just think, I don't know. It's a tough decision on which one between Joe and Afro you want to drop, because I think outside of Dan, you can make the case for all 3 of the players on the roster getting dropped after that stage 1. And then Boston, Austin's thoughts are interesting to see how these teams can be meshed together. This should be good for them. I agree with the take. And the last one from Jordan. Love the moves for both orgs. I think Joe going to FC Black will be something to really pay attention to, though. And the kid is going to go down there and prove a point that he should have a spot in the league. I would say that I kind of agree with this take. I don't know if he's going to drop 1-5, but Joe obviously has very good gunny. There's a reason he got called up straight into the pro level after turning 18 last year. This is his first real stint in challengers, other than the month that he had on LAG Academy last year. So I think there's going to be a full-on split for him, maybe 2 splits, because I don't know if Thieves are going to make another change or call him back up. I don't know, but I do think getting some more seasoning, more time developing is really key for Joe. I think he's still got a lot of potential. The kid is 19. He's been in some tough team situations. I think he definitely has a lot of time to rebound, and I like him going to FC Black because they've got a really good environment and setup there, and they're looking to kind of go back to back on big tournament wins with the 2 new additions of Joe and Gio. Yeah, those are my thoughts on LA Thieves in Boston. I know some of you probably want a Vegas and Seattle update. I don't know what's going on with Vegas. It seemed like they're still scrimming with their full team. In Seattle, there were some weird tweets in the timeline from some of the Seattle players yesterday, so I'm still diving in on that one. It seems like maybe my read on it is maybe they still got some decisions to make and they haven't made them yet, but nothing to report yet. And once I have more information, I will check in with you guys on that. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. As always, guys, we will see you on the next one.